Hello everyone, have a nice day. Today we'll explore a tense, emotional night with Jack and Tuttienne, where fear moves faster than truth. A sudden video appears, twisting what Jack thinks he knows, while Tuttienne fights through exhaustion, threats, and a dangerous road just to reach help. When Jack finally finds her in the ER, the relief lasts only a heartbeat because the person behind the lie is closer than they imagined. Love, doubt, and a hidden trap collide under harsh hospital lights, and one conversation could expose everything or shatter them again. If you find it interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. The ER glass was cold under Jack's palm, but his hand still shook like it was burning. Inside, under brutal white lights, Tuttienne lay on a narrow bedskin drained of color, lips parted, an IV line trembling with every shallow breath. Her hair clung to her forehead in damp strands. A monitor ticked like a clock counting down something he couldn't stop. Tuttienne, his voice came out rough, almost unrecognizable, and then his phone screen flashed in his mind again those cursed seconds. A shaky clip, a low angle. Tuttienne standing beside a man in shadow, her head tilted as if listening. Then one step and another, following him toward a car. It wasn't that Jack believed it. It was that the video knew exactly where to stab, the softest place in him, the place that loved her so much it became terrified of being fooled. The image rewound in his thoughts, looping like a thread right as the world had begun swallowing Tuttienne for real. Hours earlier, dusk had bled into the trees, and the thin forest had sounded alive, dry leaves, whispering like footsteps that weren't hers. Tuttienne staggered forward with mud on her shoes, one hand pressed to her chest as if she could hold her ribs together. She wiped her nose, red smeared across her fingers. Just a little more, she breathed, forcing the words out like a rope she could cling to. Ahead, through a veil of gray evening, a road sign surfaced. City, Provincial Hospital. Salvation. Her phone was down to a sliver of battery. She opened her contacts and felt her stomach drop. Empty. A new device. A careless delay. A promise she'd smiled through. I remember your number. She did remember. She knew it like she knew his voice, but panic squeezed her memory until it went blank. She typed random digits, erased them, tried again, hands trembling so badly the screen blurred. A message buzzed in. Unknown number. Don't call Jack. If you call, he'll get hurt. Tuttienne went still as if the air had turned to ice. Jack's face filled her mind, his worried eyes, the calm he forced for her sake. 1% chance the threat was real, and she couldn't gamble with his life. I'm sorry, she whispered to the dark. She shoved the phone away and pushed herself toward the road, step by step, like dragging her own body through water. Cars roared past, headlights sliced her vision. She lifted an arm, desperate. One motorbike slowed. The rider looked her over, blood, dirt, her unsteady stance, and then looked away from her eyes like she was contagious. Money? He asked. She fumbled out crumpled bills. Not enough. Please, just to the hospital. I'll pay when I... His jaw tightened. I was told not to get involved. Her heart stumbled. Told by who? He didn't answer. He simply turned the bike and disappeared into the night. Tuttienne swayed, grabbing a pole to keep from collapsing. The world narrowed into ringing silence. A car rolled up behind her, the window lowered. A man's voice slid out smooth, almost gentle. "Need the hospital? Get in. I'll take you where you need to go." She couldn't see his face, only the glow of a phone in his hand. Camera open. Recording. Tuttienne stepped back. "No." "You're going to fall." She tried to move away, but her knees gave up. The road tilted. The sky blinked out. Brakes screamed. A door opened. Footsteps approached. And then black. Jack received the video while the night was still young, like someone had been waiting for the exact moment to poison him. Then another message followed. A location pin provincial hospital. He drove with both hands strangling the steering wheel, rain dusting the windshield, phone calls dying into silence. Each failed ring tightened the knot in his chest. By the time he ran into the emergency wing, his lungs felt too small for his body. He grabbed the nearest staff member. "Tuttienne, she came in tonight. Please." A quick shake of the head. "Not under that name." Jack's throat closed. "But the location," a lowered voice, a glance around. "There's an unidentified female patient. No papers, no phone. But someone arrived earlier claiming to be family." Family? Jack moved down the hallway like a man chasing his own heartbeat. Then he saw her through the glass, Tuttienne, pale and motionless except for that fragile rise and fall. Relief hit him so hard it almost dropped him to his knees. He reached for the door. A calm voice spoke behind him. "You're Jack, right?" Jack turned. A man stood there in a dark coat, holding a phone. On its screen, the fake video was frozen on the exact frame meant to break him. The man smiled like he'd been waiting all night. "You're too late," he said softly. She already chose, and the ER door clicked, unlocking. Jack didn't blink. He stared at the frozen frame on the phone screen, Tuttienne's profile, a shadow beside her, the lie pretending to be proof. "You think a clip makes a choice?" Jack's voice stayed low, but the muscles in his jaw were shaking. "Move." The man in the dark coat didn't step aside. He held the phone like a weapon, calm enough to be cruel. "My name is Dwey," he said, almost polite. "I don't need you to believe it. I just need you to doubt." Jack felt the words land exactly where they were meant to land, inside his ribs, where fear lived. He hated that it worked. He hated himself more for letting it happen. Behind the glass, Tuttienne's lashes fluttered. Her fingers twitched, searching for something in the air. Jack's body moved before his thoughts could stop it. He pushed past Dwey, grabbed the handle, and slipped into the ER like he was entering a church after a war. Tuttienne's eyes opened halfway glassy, unfocused. When she saw him, her breath snagged like she'd been holding it for hours. "Jack." The word came out thin, broken. He crossed the room in 2 steps and took her hand carefully, like he was afraid she'd vanish if he held on too tight. Her skin was cold. There were faint scratches near her wrist and a darker bruise blooming under the sleeve of the hospital gown. His throat tightened. The video in his head cracked. "Hey," he whispered, leaning close. "I'm here. I'm right here." Tears leaked from the corners of her eyes. Not dramatic, just exhausted, helpless. I couldn't call. Someone sent messages. They said you'd get hurt. Jack pressed her knuckles to his mouth, a small shaking kiss. You don't have to carry that alone. She tried to swallow, winced, then forced the words out anyway. I didn't go with anyone. I was on the road. I almost, her breath hitched, panic flashing through the fog. I woke up here. I thought I lost you. You didn't. Jack's voice cracked on the last word. He brushed her hair back, slow and gentle, like an apology. And I'm sorry. Her eyes searched his face. Sorry for what? Jack stared at the bruise again, rage rising so fast it made him dizzy. For letting someone put poison in my head for even 1 second. Tuttienne's lips trembled. You saw something? A video. Jack exhaled, bitter. A fake one. Her eyes widened, then filled again. No, Jack, no, I swear. I know. He tightened his grip, grounding her. I know now. A soft knock sounded near the door. Jack turned his head and saw Dwey standing there, still calm, still smiling like none of this was real. You're touching her like you own her, Dwey murmured. Funny, in that video she looked like she belonged to someone else. Jack stood up slowly, placing himself between Dwey and the bed. You filmed her. Dwey tilted his head. I filmed what people are willing to believe. You're going to leave, Jack said, voice flat. And you're going to tell me who paid you. Dewey's smile thinned. Careful. The moment you push, another clip appears, another message, another doubt. You can't protect her from your own mind, Jack. Jack's hands clenched at his sides. Then he did something Dwey didn't expect. He pulled out his phone and quietly started recording. The screen angled so Dwey couldn't see. You're right, Jack said, steady as a knife. I can't stop the world from lying, but I can stop you from hiding. Dewey's eyes narrowed, reading Jack's tone too late. From the bed, Tuttienne whispered, barely audible but sharp with fear. Jack, don't. Jack didn't look away from Dwey. Tell me. For the first time, Dewey's calm cracked just a flicker. And in that flicker, Jack saw it. The exact moment a liar decides whether to run or confess. Dwey took 1 step forward. Jack took 1 step closer to the door, blocking him. And the air in the ER turned heavy, as if the truth itself was about to break something open.
Jack nhận được một đoạn video đáng ngờ được dàn dựng để khiến anh nghi ngờ Tử Tiên rồi vội vã đi bệnh viện tỉnh sau khi định vị dẫn anh đến đó. Trong khi đó, Tử Tiên gục ngã bên vệ đường sau khi bị chảy máu mũi, suy yếu và nhận được những tin nhắn đe dọa cảnh báo cô không được liên lạc với Jack. Cô từ chối một người lái xe lạ mặt dường như đang quay phim cô, rồi bất tỉnh, tỉnh dậy trong phòng cấp cứu không rõ danh tính và trong tình trạng dễ bị tổn thương. Jack cuối cùng cũng nhìn thấy cô qua tấm kính, lao vào bên trong, vừa nhẹ nhõm vừa cảm thấy tội lỗi vì không để đoạn video giả mạo đầu độc tâm trí mình. Tử Tiêu khẳng định cô chưa bao giờ đi với ai và thừa nhận mình đã bịt miệng bởi những người đe dọa nhằm bảo vệ Jack. Một người đàn ông tên Duy đối mặt với Jack tại phòng cấp cứu, chế giễu anh về việc sự nghi ngờ lây truyền như thế nào. Jack bí mật ghi âm Duy đòi hỏi sự thật.